I never imagined that a chance encounter at an event could bring such sweet satisfaction. There he was, the very boss who'd once dismissed me as an inconvenience, now facing the consequences of his own actions. The look on his face when he realized how far I had come since those tumultuous days at the stained glass studio. That moment was worth every hardship I'd endured. But let me start from the beginning to give you the full picture of how I ended up at this unexpected crossroads. It all started about 3 years ago when I was working as an artist, a glass painter and designer, at a stained glass studio in Los Angeles. The studio was a place of beauty and creativity, filled with the vibrant colors of glass and the subtle, earthy scent of lead and solder. But beneath its artistic allure lay a troubling disregard for safety, a fact that weighed heavily on my conscience. You see, I had come from a previous studio where safety was paramount. I had been trained to respect the materials we worked with, knowing well the dangers of lead, acid, and other hazardous substances. It was second nature for me to be cautious, and so when I joined this new studio, I couldn't ignore the glaring safety oversights. My boss, perhaps seeing my diligence, appointed me as the safety person. I took this responsibility seriously, diving into OSHA manuals, making countless suggestions to improve our practices. Yet, my efforts were mostly met with indifference, my words fading into the background noise of the bustling workshop. The atmosphere in the studio was one of silent tension. My coworkers, though talented and dedicated, seemed resigned to the status quo. Occasionally, I'd catch a glimpse of concern in their eyes when handling the materials, but the unspoken rule was to keep quiet and carry on. My persistence in raising safety issues painted me as a troublemaker, someone who disrupted the comfortable routine. Then, the world shifted with the onset of COVID-19. The pandemic brought new challenges, and as masks became a necessity, the studio's lax attitude towards safety became even more apparent. It wasn't long before someone other than me, decided enough was enough and called OSHA. The inspection that followed was a wake-up call for the studio, but rather than address the issues, my boss chose a different path. I became the scapegoat, the presumed whistleblower. Although I hadn't made the call, I was the most vocal about safety, and that was enough for suspicion to fall on me. Shortly after, I noticed a shift in the air. My replacement was rehired, my safety duties were quietly stripped away, and eventually I was let go under the guise of lack of work. It was a flimsy excuse, especially since they had just hired someone else. The betrayal stung, leaving me questioning my future. At that moment, standing in the empty studio with my belongings packed, I felt a mix of fear and uncertainty. Los Angeles is an unforgiving city, and without a steady income, I was unsure how I would make ends meet. Yet, deep inside, there was a spark of defiance. I had been quietly nurturing my own art, a passion project that had been simmering in the background. With nothing left to lose, I decided to take the plunge and focus entirely on my own work. The first few months were challenging. Every day was a battle against doubt and insecurity. I poured my heart into my creations, spending long hours in my small studio apartment, surrounded by sketches and unfinished pieces. Slowly, things began to change. My work caught the attention of a few galleries, and before I knew it, I was preparing for a solo show at a major gallery. It was a whirlwind of excitement and anxiety, but I was determined to make it work. Fast forward to last night, when fate brought me face to face with the very man who had discarded me. The event was buzzing with people, the air thick with chatter and the clinking of glasses. Among the crowd, I spotted familiar faces, former coworkers who shared hushed conversations about the studio's current state. It seemed the place was struggling, with hours cut to just 2 days a week, leaving many in search of new jobs. The irony was not lost on me, and then, there he was. My former boss, looking slightly worn, approached with a hesitant smile. "I heard you had a show," he said, trying to maintain a semblance of cordiality. My heart pounded in my chest, but I kept my composure. "Yes," I replied, allowing the triumph to seep into my voice. "Things are going really well." I couldn't help but flash a broad smile, the kind that spoke volumes of my journey from uncertainty to success. In that moment, I didn't need to elaborate on my achievements. The knowledge that I had more than $30 in savings, that I was booked with work through 2026, was for me alone. It was a testament to my resilience, a silent victory over the doubts that once plagued me. As I watched him process this, I felt a sense of closure. Success, indeed, is the best revenge. The immediate aftermath of our encounter was a flurry of emotions. I felt a mixture of relief and vindication, like a weight had been lifted. My former coworkers, now aware of my success, offered congratulations, their support a balm to old wounds. It was heartening to see that despite the studio's struggles, we could find solidarity in our shared experiences. Reflecting on the journey, I realized how much I had grown. Being fired was a catalyst, a push that forced me to believe in my own potential. It taught me resilience, the importance of standing by one's principles, and the power of pursuing one's passion against all odds. In the end, what could have been a devastating setback turned into the opportunity of a lifetime. As the event drew to a close, I left with a renewed sense of purpose. The path ahead was bright, filled with promise and potential, and as I stepped into the cool Los Angeles night, I couldn't help but smile at the thought that sometimes the universe has a way of setting things right.